Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. This session, it's something quite different than the normal session where we talk about economics, we talk about world affairs, regional issue. So I thought that we maybe talk a bit about the prospect of the future, but from a perspective of young Cambodian graduate who want to study abroad and coming back, and it'd be nice to hear what's their expectation in the future, but also to hear how they went through the education, why they choose certain educational path, and what's the prospect really. So I have two young lady and one handsome young gentleman. They all graduated abroad, but I will ask you to introduce yourself so that this way, you can feel free to say whatever you want to say or what you don't want to say. So I'll start with you, Malia.
Hello, my name is Vimuolea. I'm 23 years old. I did my high school education at the International School of Phnom Penh, SVP, and I went on to Macelester College, a liberal arts college in St. Paul, Minnesota, for my undergrad degree.
And when did you come back home?
Around May.
May of last year?
Yeah, 2017.
Okay, great. Rosette?
I'm Rosette. I went to high school at ISVP as well, and then I went to do my undergraduate at McGill University in Montreal, Quebec. I studied English and political science, and now I'm graduated.
All right. When you came home?
Last month.
All right, welcome home. Bye-bye.
My name is Siriwat. I'm also 23 years old, and I went to the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada. And before that, I was completing my high school degree in Austria. And I'm doing a combined major in chemistry, physics, and earth and environmental science.
I think one of your thesis was checking the soy sauce or the vinegar?
The fish sauce, yeah. That was a high school paper that I wrote. I wanted to do it within the context of Cambodia. And so I studied the iron levels in that to see whether that can help with iron deficiency anemia.
In soy sauce, right?
In fish sauce.
Oh, fish sauce.
Because it has a high iron content.
All right. Fish sauce, soy sauce, all sauces. All right. Good. Well, Malia, it's good. Tell me why you chose, to go to that university. Why that particular subject matter?
Well, I chose to go to Macelester College. Well, one of the reasons was because my aunt lives in Minnesota, so I applied mostly to colleges in Minnesota for convenience
So you
purposes.
can have access to good food on the weekend,
Yes,
right? All
definitely.
right. That's a good reason.
And I also share the values that the school hold, like gender equality, being LGBT friendly, and not discriminating people based on race, gender, and socioeconomic background. And I liked how it was a liberal arts college as well.
And the major you study, what's the focus of your study?
Well, I majored in economics and minored in Syria art and French.
All right.
Yeah.
Parlez français?
Un petit peu.
Okay, good. So, I mean, do you find the environment there is conducive to studying?
Yeah. Well, I think economics in particular. The fact that it was small. It was very. It was a 10-to-1 faculty to student ratio. So I think it was very nice how teachers were very approachable, and you can find time in class, but also outside of class during office hours or make an appointment with them. And it was very engaging and interactive. And teachers would let you do problem exercises like on your own. So it kind of encourages you to work it out with other people, encourage teamwork, especially before exams. It was really helpful.
All right. Well, Rosette, why McGill, and why English, communication, whatever it is?
So I went to McGill because I thought it was a really great school, and Montreal looked like a really nice place to study and to live, and it really was. And what I enjoyed about McGill was that it was right in the city, so you're able to have both a student life as well as a life outside of school, which is quite important just in terms of like mental health reasons and just getting
mental health.
Yeah, and just getting out of like that study bubble.
Oh.
And just taking a break. In terms of choosing English, I really enjoyed English in high school, so I just wanted to continue on with it. And then once I got there, I realized about how many other things were available. So I took on a political science minor as well. And what I liked about the two was that they worked in like very different ways. English is a lot more of gaining soft skills like critical thinking and writing skills that those skills can be transferable to any job that you do afterwards. And then political science was a lot more specific in terms of the theory that you were learning. So they worked together quite well.
But McGill in Montreal, they speak French.
Not necessarily downtown. It is a bilingual school, but they operate in English, and in the downtown area, they mostly speak
But when
English.
you go to Chinatown, you speak French, right?
They speak English there.
But you're the other part of
West
Canada,
Coast.
on the West Coast, right? Tell me about the school and...
So the main reason why I chose Vancouver or Canada in general was because I finished high school in Singapore, so in Asia, and in Vienna, which is in Europe. And so I thought that this would be a good opportunity for me to have a change of environment. Maybe I can learn something new from there. And the reason why I chose my major, it's a combined major, so I picked 3 sciences, and you take some core courses from each one, and then you also have some like integrated courses like science communication or some arts electives that help kind of combine all these subjects together. That suited my personality better because it's more open and I have more options. That would suit me more than a traditional one science major like just chemistry.
Weather-wise, guys, how bad can it be?
Oh, so for me, weather was definitely a big factor in my everyday life. Vancouver is known for raining a lot, almost all the time. Sometimes when you wake up, it's already dark. So that can kind of affect your mood and like what you're doing in school. But after a while, I found ways to adapt. Like I got a sun lamp to keep at home to kind of like wake me up in the morning, and then you need to go with like create some routines for yourself so that you can wake up early and be productive like straight away.
Rosette, minus 30 degree? Wow.
But then it really makes you appreciate spring and summer. So your mood automatically gets better.
Well, in your area, it's not so dramatic, no?
Oh,
It's pretty bad.
Yeah? How far down you can get temperature-wise?
I don't know. I think at one point, my first year, there was a polar vortex, so it got to negative 40-ish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Negative 40, beat Canada.
Yeah.
All right. So you all survived the cold weather. How does it feel to be in a 30-degree Phnom Penh environment?
I love the sun now.
I definitely appreciate the sun more.
Yeah. Good. Well, I think we have I have a good overview on what you all went through, different field, different sort of like area of concentration. But tell me a bit the difference between. Yeah, of course you study in Cambodia, you study in Europe. What's the difference between the work environment, the study environment, of course on campus, but also how do you find life outside the campus, the work, the experience, the environment?
Well, I think over there they like I mentioned before too, they encourage teamwork, and talking to professors directly is also it's nice. I think they really encourage that too, and I think finding time to do other things other than academics is also good for you mental wise as well, and having time for yourself.
Well, this second time I hear the word mental health. Gee, I mean, it's life in college is so dramatic that you guys already worry about mental health. Rosette, what do you think?
I think it's important because I think it really affects your productivity level, especially like he was saying, sometimes when it's dark outside, it really affects your mood in terms of if you're like just staying home all day and studying. So I think that's why it's important to have a balance of both, which is also why it's important to get involved in extracurriculars, because it gives you something outside of school to work on, but you're still being productive. So it's a win-win situation. And the thing about extracurriculars, if you're applying for like an executive job, or if you're the president of the club, you're also gaining a good work ethic, because the club kind of operates like a little business and a little organization. So you're able to have both a study life as well as a work life.
So extracurricular activity like what, a student
student
activity?
Student association.
Oh, all right. But it's not distracting from your study, right?
It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
Just having a balance of both.
But you're more an outside guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of extracurricular activity you do
so
outside?
For me, what works best, I found, for me to be most productive and not get distracted by, let's say, bad weather or your mood being affected, I just had to keep as busy as possible. So for me, I had some part-time jobs. I worked part-time at a restaurant. I worked part-time at a supplement store. So a lot of like customer service. And for me, I found that I was through this, I was able to talk to people throughout the day, keep myself busy. I guess make a little bit of money on the side while I'm studying.
You're not telling that to your parent. That is your.
Oh, they know, but that money's for me.
Oh, right.
But at the end of the day, I thought that even though I was much busier in terms of fitting and time management on my schedule, I was just sharp throughout the day, and this is like part of my routine. So I allocate, time to working and then to doing my classwork and then relaxing. So having this structure and framework really helped me finish all the tasks that I need to do during the week or throughout the school year.
Good. Well, I think it's good time to take a short break. But when we come back, I want to dig a bit more on your perception, on studying abroad versus studying in abroad. When here, it's different perspective. You study in Europe, you live in Europe, you've gone to America, So it's a bit quite a diverse experience, and it's good to share also how different culture, different continent, different education system have impacted your life, right? So short break. All right. Well, as I said before the break, is that different country have different culture, different education system, different I would say approach to learning. You went to America, Rosette. You went to the East Coast, French-speaking Canada. You went to the other extreme, which is English-speaking Canada. But you also had some time in Europe as well, in Asia. What? Okay, I'll start with you first of all, right? Because of this sort of like cultural diversity. How you like about each one of these culture?
So just speaking from my experience, I went through the Singapore system, which is the British system, but in the context of Asia. And then after that, I went to Vienna. So that was I was doing the International Baccalaureate program.
IB.
The IB, yeah. And that was surrounded in the European culture. There was a lot of exposure there. And finally, I went back to Canada, and that was the North American system. So for me, all of these were very contrasting. So I'd say that in Singapore, the system was slightly more, let's say, conservative than the others. They focused more on, repetition.
You mean the Singapore?
The Singapore system, yeah.
Okay.
But I found that the biggest advantage of this was that you have very strong fundamentals in math and English and science. And then moving on to the IB program in Vienna. So the IB program by itself is quite a well-rounded program. So they focus on, critical thinking and extracurricular activities and philosophy, like just outside of the school curriculum. So this is very open. And also being in Europe, you're exposed to a lot of different cultures. And also the school that I went to was a United Nations-based school. So I made friends from many different countries, and that was a good experience for me. And then finally back in the North American system, they're probably the most open-minded in that sense. So this is probably why we kept bringing like mental health, because these are some like contemporary issues that North American, systems really take very seriously. And also in terms of academics, like I have many friends, and even myself, we start with a major at the beginning of our 4 years, and then throughout, let's say, second, third year, some people change majors, some people even change faculties. And this is all done very smoothly because we have the support of our school and the support of our counselors.
It's great. Rosette, when you initially went to college, you thought that you're going to be a fashion editor.
Yeah.
So how's Canadian Montreal education system there?
Like he was saying, it's definitely very liberal. And what I loved about my particular major was that not only was it small, but it was so kind of open in the sense that not everybody was aiming towards the same job. And I think studying in that type of environment where it's not always that competitive, it's actually great because there's no competition necessarily between you and your classmates, and everyone's very open to different pathways. And that's why I really valued my major, because you gained a lot of skills that you could kind of take anywhere. So yeah.
But Malia, speaking of IB, right? You know, of course, I never, okay, just to make you guys feel better, you know, I'm a high school, not drop out because I did not drop out, but I never finished high school because of the war. So I never finished high school. Yeah, you know, so, no, but it was a French system. I went to Lycée des Cartes there. I was a 9th grade at that time, you know, so never finished. So, in fact, I miss this last 3 years of high school, which to me are more the formative year of your, you know, educational foundation, right? So I miss that. But, you know, in those days, we don't know what this IB is. But Malia, what is IB? Because ISPP is an IB program, and you mentioned IB also.
Well, I guess to keep it short, I guess IB is basically you choose different subjects. There are standard levels and higher levels, and for me, I did literature, economics, and visual arts. And basically, it's very good preparation for college years because, well, not only do they encourage like extracurricular activities and volunteering for service, action, and community creativity, but it's a good transition to college. I found that academic-wise, it was very smooth transitioning into undergrad degree with IB, but I'm not sure if I managed to capture the whole essence of the IB well just now, but yeah, to me that's what I think. And then so going into college, I think because I was taking the IB in the context of Cambodia, I was still very shy and very reserved.
Okay.
But going into the American system, I found it to be very interactive and like pushing me out of my shell. At one point, I think the professor was asking me why I don't really talk in class, because according to what I've submitted, I think she thought the ideas added value to the class, so that would also boost my grade as well. So I kind of took a step back and reflected on myself. Oh, maybe I should like better myself, and like it's also very
communicate.
Necessary skill to survive on later on, especially post graduation.
So is that has something to do with what you've been mentioning in passing, the critical thinking type of sort of like approach?
Yeah, I think that's what IB did, was like build a foundation, so it was like easy for me to transition into not necessarily undergraduate, but like into life as well.
Okay, interesting. So it's more a life, a soft skill, if I can say. It's more a soft skill rather than hard science, right? That you went through Singapore, very rigid. The French system is the same. Your dad can tell you all that about the French system. You know, we have to remember.
Yeah, it's very content based.
Yeah. So, but back to you, Rosette. You know, in your what do you find challenging? Of course, you know, being in college, all of you have to struggle on your own. No more mom and pop. You know, to wake you up in the morning. You know, you self-discipline. How do you survive that? Is that a challenge, or is that a pleasure to be away from your parents?
I don't necessarily think it's a challenge. For me, it wasn't that challenging because I lived in res in first year, and when you live in residence, it's so easy to make friends. So I think...
What is residence? It's like a dorm.
It's like a dorm,
okay.
Yeah. And the thing about what I would advise anyone going to college is if you have the financial means to choose to live in residence, because right away you have the support system that's there for you, and that makes it so much easier to settle down and to adapt to the culture. and yeah, you just make friends for life that way.
You know, I mean, the support structure in terms of logistic, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to cook, right?
No, you don't have to cook because there's a canteen, but
Okay.
just like in general.
In general, so
Yeah.
easy to integrate. You
Yeah.
have more time to
Yeah.
focus on your study, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then your friends can teach
Yes.
you how to cook.
All right. And eventually you end up cooking.
Yeah.
All right.
Eventually.
Instant noodle. All right. Good. But I mean, if you did some work on soy sauce and fish sauce, I'm pretty sure you done some cooking at college.
I definitely cook for myself because I try to live a healthy lifestyle, and I play a lot of sports as well, so I need to feed myself the right foods. And also, this is a personal interest of mine between sports and food.
But what do you find challenging in your year in college?
I think the most challenging part, well, first of all, I already had experience living by myself since I was 12.
Okay.
Because I was in boarding school in Singapore. So, but at the time, obviously, we were surrounded by helping teachers and like assistants who live in our dorms as well. So, but that was a good transition into living on my own in university. And the challenge wasn't so much feeding myself or, you know, cleaning up after myself, doing laundry, all these, you know, small things. It was more of time management. Because when you're in the college system, it's not like in high school where you go to school from, you know, let's say 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay.
And then you have classes that are all built out for you and you have to attend those classes. And then at the end of class, you have extracurricular activities that span between those times that the school allocates. But in college, you have certain classes that you pick on your own schedule. Some people choose to have all morning classes. Some people choose to have all afternoon classes. And in general, in college, nobody really is going to say anything if you don't go to class because it's up to you. So the main thing is just to find what works for your schedule. So some people prefer to attend all the classes. That's how they absorb knowledge best. But some people think that not going to class and self-studying is the best, which is also acceptable. It depends on your style of learning and how you manage your time. But for me, the most important thing was just to create a routine that you stick with every day, because it's very easy to lose track in college. Let's say if you fall sick for a few days and you miss 1 week of school, by the time you go back, you would have missed a lot. So it's not the same as in high school. It's a very different game.
You know, I always say that at school, there's two ways to study, right? One is to study to learn. One is study to pass the exams. And the two are very different, the technique, right? When you study to learn, you know, it's you may not necessarily pass, but you do learn. And the other one, you pass, but you do not necessarily learn. You know, so, and later on you find that as you go to postgraduate school, you realize that the study to learn matter more. That sometimes certain subject is so deep, so difficult, that it don't make sense to rush through and remember what the professor said, right? Because let's face it, you know, a professor can only ask whatever question that he taught, more than likely to be fair to student, right? So you have some very smart student who more like, I mean, in this semester, he focused heavily on these two subjects. More than likely he will ask that. And then he would just study that, right? So he passed the exam beautifully, but he may not know what the rest is. So I think it's very important to have this balance, you know. You should enjoy learning. You have to pass, otherwise your parent will be not happy at all, you know. And you know, so my youngest brother is a mechanical engineer, and you know, it's hard, mechanical engineer. So it's like 5 years, 6 years, and so we always say that, look, you know, don't take forever, because we can't subsidize your food forever. Graduate, guys. So anyway, we're gonna take one last break, and when we come back, I want to get you to share with us a bit. How do you think you're learning? Of course, it's still early part because it's college, not postgraduate yet. But how you see it can help, you know, you integrate to Cambodian society and eventually contribute to the development of our society. Okay, so another break. All right, so we are in the last stretch of our dialogue. You gone through some learning curve. You obtained your degree. You're quite proud in your life, but the future's still far. You're still young, so some of you, and I hope you continue at some point to do graduate school and get a doctorate, 2 doctorate, whatever. But let's start with one first. Keep the parent happy. But what is your expectation with that knowledge that you have acquired, and now that you come home, how do you feel about it?
Well, I think it's really nice to be back after having gone away from home for 4 years. Right now, I'm working at the Ministry of Economy and Finance.
Yes.
Under the General Department of Policy.
Okay.
And we're doing our division is macroeconomics and fiscal division.
Okay.
So I'm applying what I've learned in college years into Cambodian society.
Okay.
So yeah.
How does it feel to be integrated now? Of course, as a junior, but with the people in the ministry who are tasked to do policy formulation, policy analysis. How does it feel? The fact that you have the exposure, a very rigorous university exposure.
I think it really definitely helped me develop soft skills and also theories related to what I'm learning. But I think what I realized is that what you went through in college doesn't necessarily apply to everyday working in terms of working in the government. So I think I'm definitely learning a lot from other people too, on top of what I'm learning from college. I really admire the people who work there, the effort and time and what goes into everything. I really admire people working there and learning from them.
All right. Rosette?
Well, right now I'm working at a law firm, and I'm basically doing a lot of practice management tasks and business development. And the thing that I think I've brought to the job is the work ethic that I have been able to develop throughout my years of schooling. And that's what I've kind of realized once I finished school and entered the workforce, is that what you bring to the job, it's more the things that you aren't necessarily seeing on a CV. It's not necessarily the grades that you get or the positions that you held in particular extracurriculars. It's more the things that you don't see. So I think that's one of the values about going to live abroad and living alone, is that you gain a lot of things. You develop your character and then you bring that to the job.
The discipline.
Yeah, the discipline.
Yeah, the commitment to professionalism. That's what matters, And I think it's important because the formative year in high school is one thing, the formative year in college is another thing, but the formative year as you enter the workforce is another dimension. So it's very good. I'm glad you can apply the rigorous sort of I wouldn't say force, because in college, like Vavat say, you don't have to attend class, but it's a self-discipline in a way, Vavat, what's your view on that?
So during the last few years, during the summer holidays, I come back to Cambodia and I always try to keep busy. And so I've been involved in a lot of workshops and conferences, and I've also given several talks to a lot of university students with regards to science issues, education. Just the other day, or last week, I went to the Institute of Technology of Cambodia, and I presented along with some other panelists to discuss about how to choose a major. And so the audience were first and second year engineering students, and at the end of second year they had to choose one of the 7 engineering majors. And so I went to present to give a student's perspective of my journey and my experience through how I started right after high school and through first year, the major that I chose, and then changing in second year. So I was just trying to share my side and what I went through. And also the year before, I was involved in coaching 5 Cambodian high school students to bring them to a science camp in Malaysia. And so the point of that was just to expose them to some international science activities, to make them more curious, interested in science. So these are sort of the activities that I do when I come back to Cambodia, thanks to the courses that I took in college with regards to like just science, not just the content, but also science communication, as well as some education courses. So all of these really helped me when I came back, and I was able to do something productive out of that.
Good. Let's look a bit at the future, okay? You're still early 20. What's the prospect? Would you at some point plan to go for postgraduate school?
Yeah, I want to work now, so I know my likes and dislikes even more, and like know what field I want to go into in particular for my postgraduate degree, and hopefully in the 2019 academic year I'll continue for my master's.
In economics?
Either economics or public policy.
Public policy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's quite related. Yeah, it's quite interesting. And same country or different country, different continent?
I'm considering applying to America and the UK and maybe France, but I'm still deciding.
All right, okay. Good. Rosette?
I'm basically in the same boat as her. I want to work for the next year and a half and then apply in 2019 to go to law school.
Law school.
But since I just finished school, I do want to take some time to work because I find that working is so different from studying. So I want to be able to gain the skills from that, and I think that will eventually help me in my postgraduate as well.
Cool. What continent?
Probably North America again, just because I do like their education system.
You mean at the minus 40 degree country or minus 10?
Probably not. Probably somewhere warmer.
Alright.
For me, I also plan on working. This has been my plan since in the middle of my college for my 4 years. I just thought that for me, working suits my personality better in terms of what I want to do after college, and this will be like a smoother transition into finding something that I really like to do or continue my studies in. For my case, I'll probably focus on a science specialty, but I'm still deciding between that, and I'm also keeping my options open in other fields, maybe in international relations or in business. So I'm just gonna base this on my work experience and what I feel that I like within the next year or so, and then hopefully I can also apply starting 2018, this year in September.
Now I'm gonna ask something quite personal. You don't have to tell me though. What is the role of your parent in shaping your decision into the field you want to get into?
Well, I've always liked economics, but my parents, in particular my dad, has a strong background in economics. So although I found economics to be interesting in that it was one of the few subjects that I found very intellectually challenging, but he also nudged me a bit into going to the field.
Not pushing, just nudge.
Nudge.
Yeah, Rosette?
Yeah, I think
don't be embarrassed.
There was some nudging. I think it was very subtle.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What?
For me, my dad, by background, is a medical doctor, and so since I was young, he always put it out there that becoming a doctor would be a very safe and good choice. But I was lucky that he's quite open with me, so he allows me to do what I want and then supports me. And so for me, I just chose what I like to do, which is science subjects like chemistry and environmental science. Those are some things that I found more interesting than other subjects. So I've just been going with that, and so far it's been not too bad.
So all in all, you all had the blessing of your parent.
Yeah.
That's great. Anyway, we're almost running out of time. I want to ask you perhaps shortly to share to the young Cambodian who exactly like what Babat had spent last time at the Institute of Technology. Your view, perhaps, how can they learn from your experience here, even though it's quite brief here, in terms of deciding or selecting how best to select their future educational path?
I would say exploring a lot of things, a lot of different fields, so that you know what suits you better and what doesn't. And I think volunteering for different things also really helped, because when I volunteered in this thing called SealNet, and I think kind of found answers through that as well. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I definitely say to spend time exploring what else is out there, because in retrospect, at 18, you don't necessarily know what you want to do. Just because you were good at something in high school doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that you should continue with, because once you go to college, there's so much more out there. So I definitely say if you have the financial means, just take your time and don't try to rush through things. Just see what else is out there, because in the long term, you're going to be a lot happier with your choice.
Yeah, at the talk that I gave just the other week, my main message was just that you have to always keep in mind that you have to choose something for yourself, because you're going to be the one studying those topics and you're going to be the one working in that environment. So you have to choose something that you can flourish in based on your skills and your personality. So for me, that's the most important.
Great. Well, I think we're at the end of the program, and you can relax. But I want to say in concluding, not wrapping, but how I get from your three people perspective is that ultimately, you will play, whether you realize or not, you will play a big role in helping change our country, because we're a post-war country, right? Not long ago, and 20 years ago, some of you were not born yet. I think all of you were not born yet. When we have the peace process in '93, we came from a very difficult background, countrywide social infrastructure, particularly non-existent, and the country is struggling to get into the community of nations, entering WTO. Now we're part of the ASEAN Economic Community. The country is, working hard to integrate in the region, to be an equal, respectful, sort of like partner in the 10 country. So I think the role of the youth, particularly your generation, is so crucial, because you can bring the country at par with the neighboring country, who unfortunately did not have to go through difficult years of war, genocide like Cambodia. But having said that, I'm quite optimistic listening to you all that, and if I can multiply by the thousands of other young Cambodians who are studying abroad as we speak now, the country will be in a good position. At least we can defend our core interests. We can raise the flag of our country when we go to different regional meeting or global conference. And this is something I want to say that keep it up, maintain that drive, but always think of your country. Always think what you can do for your country. But of course, listen to your parents. So on that note, thank you so much, Malia, Rosette. Thank you. All right, we're coming to the end of the program, and I just hope that particularly the young university student who are watching would learn something from this short insight. So on that note, good night.